welcome back to Linux's Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we can sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Jill Bryant in Space LA, and all the way, not staying up past his bedtime, because we do the show a little earlier, that's one Pedro Mateus, Isles of Britannia, and everyone watching us at home. How's it going? It's been another interesting stay-at-home week, I think, for everyone, but man, I had to put the kibosh on it. I felt myself out in the shop the other day. It was like I was cleaning out my etchant tank. It's like, no, I don't need to make a new circuit board, but I kind of really want to. I want to make like a Neve-style preamp or a microphone. No. This is what happens when I'm at home too much, or trebuchet. I don't know. I've decided to not do that.
You should totally swing something onto your neighbor's lawn.
Yeah.
You can end that with again. You can. Check this out. I've put this off because I've been looking around. I've patiently been waiting for a year. I'm like, okay, well, we have that new high quality Camera Pi, 12 megapixel with the telephoto lens and all that. Somebody going to do a decent comparison video of one of these? Nay. I went and checked like 2 days ago. It still doesn't exist. Like, here's the video compared to a C920 webcam from 6 years ago. That doesn't tell me anything. I want to know how it stacks up against my $100 Nikon D3400. We're going to find out. So I've ordered that kit along with a Raspberry Pi Zero W because I want to see if I can make it a wireless IP camera on top of everything else. So kind of looking forward to playing with that and get a nice little video out of, can I just like make a good webcam out of that? Or can we make a streaming webcam? And what the quality is really like. I don't know. I don't have much in the way of faith of it being better in low light, like the studio. But hey, I need that question answered. No one's going to do it for me. That's, yeah. How about you, Pedro? What are you up to, man?
Over here, there's nothing much going on except a lot of waiting because I did put some orders in, but they all seem to be on the very, very slow mode from China. So I'm waiting. That's what I'm doing. How about you, Jill? What are you doing?
Well,
Jill's doing the same thing I am. Waiting on what?
Waiting on the Raspberry Pi case for...
There we go. I know you like being terribly mysterious, Pedro, but I thought I'd...
No, I'm not waiting for the 3070. That's... Well, part of me technically is, mostly because I'm curious to see just how well it will perform, but I'm not paying $500 for a video card, or £500, as would be the case around here. So, no.
Well, I've been also upgrading. I have an older Core i5 gaming rig that I use by my tech bench. And since DDR3 RAM is so cheap, I just put 32 gigs in it, RAM, and another terabyte SSD, and made it a happy little zippy computer. It's got an older 1050 Ti in it, but it runs beautifully. So...
A couple of more years, you can call it vintage, right?
Yes. Well, here's the funny thing about it. One reason I started this upgrade process is, of course, the BIOS battery was dying. I'm like, okay, time to do an upgrade. And if I can keep the motherboard going, then and the BIOS upgrade worked, because sometimes they don't, if they get fried a little bit. But this one worked just fine, so I decided, okay, I'll upgrade it for inexpensively.
So, this week, we're going to start off with something that made dozens of developers very happy, including our own Mathieu Commandon.
Yes, and Hit Lutris.
Yes.
So... Basically, every year there's a Hacktoberfest. If you've participated, chances are you probably have a t-shirt to prove it, because that's one thing that they do. They give out t-shirts. They'll pick out...
People would not do silly stuff for a t-shirt.
If you Well, you haven't been to a concert recently, but you've probably been to concerts. When the t-shirt gun comes out and people will straight up punch each other. Yeah. So this is basically the 2020 equivalent of that, and they're blaming it all on the one person, because there was a Indian YouTuber that created a video to show just how easy it was to create a pull request. Improve the documentation, change a couple of lines here, maybe add commentary to the code to document how it's being done, all of that really nice stuff. And people decided to take his examples, because he only did that on projects that weren't active or that hadn't had a commit in several months. So he just made like simple edits, like a comment here, maybe improve the documentation by just writing a single line, and people decided to take that as an example. Well, some people did, and well, a lot of other developers went on Twitter. It's like, no, it's pull request spam. There's nothing here. It's just literally the one line, or they just add something to a line. There's the one line of comments in the README that says
moderation settings, interactions limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. GitHub, of course, since this went public, they had to do something about it.
Well, this is the whole thing, man. To this, from Joel.net, all this will be in our show notes, is you're not helping things here. You're trying to single out one guy. And that's infinitely less cool than, him like, hey, this is an easy way to get points to get your free t-shirt. Simply because Hacktoberfest has been going on since like 2012 or 2013. This is not new. This is like a yearly thing. But I'm not going to say problem solved now, but I definitely saw people complain. It's like, I'm going to have to go back and clean up all these junk PRs because it was a free t-shirt. And yes, I was being facetious. People do dumb things for free stuff because they live in this reality where their time is cheap and free or whatever, man. So they will spend time doing stuff like that to get a 5-cent t-shirt. Don't do that, kids. Make meaningful pull request. And I'm going to say good on GitHub for finally throwing a tool in there to
finally.
Yeah. It shouldn't have came to that.
Yeah. And DigitalOcean also responded by saying that at Hacktoberfest 2020 is officially opt-in only for projects and maintainers. So they
very
are
good. Very good.
They are protecting themselves.
Yeah.
So,
that's one of the things, because you really want to. It's one of the things that open source projects need is good documentation. So if you are going to do something to try and get a t-shirt, by all means improve a project's documentation, because chances are they need your help to do that. Just don't spam them. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, because you could be too busy downloading the latest Ubuntu 2010 beta.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is really cool. So Ubuntu 2010 beta, the precursor to Groovy Gorilla, the stable, which will be available later this month, is now available to download and test. So you can go and download the ISO and file bug reports and do lots of testing. And there's been a lot of improvements with Ubuntu 2010, including it comes with GNOME 3.38. And what I was really happy with, one of the big things, is that you can now rearrange app icons in the applications grid by using a drag and drop the mouse. And that's going to be really helpful. That's been one of my complaints with GNOME. And now there is a restart option in the main system menu, which is really convenient. And you no longer have to use the tweaks tool to enable battery percentage from the settings app. That's very, very, very nice, especially for those of us who love to use laptops. So there's lots of really cool things coming. It ships with the new exFAT drivers. Connectivity for Thunderbolt 4 on ARM devices, and there's a whole lot of updates.
With AD. If you have a Windows environment, say at work, and you're setting up Ubuntu for someone who had that specific request.
Yeah.
It integrates directly with AD instead of you having to do the OEM install, setting it up with LDAP, and then just imaging after the OEM install is done. That's actually mildly useful. The one thing is basically everything that Jill said. That reads like a checklist of stuff that GNOME 2 did, that GNOME 3 still doesn't. So,
Yes.
yeah.
My big
True
takeaway
that,
from this
Pedro, true
is if you like testing stuff, you're probably well aware, but if you're not, this is going to be shipping with kernel 5.8. So if you have anything that rhymes with black magic in your system that uses those evil, big, stinky, mean poo-poo head kernel blobs, it's not going to work with 5.8 because black magic going to black magic. Proprietary, baby.
Pooprietary.
Yeah.
So, but all of that is nonsense because there's not a new release wallpaper, therefore I don't like any of it.
Aww.
Not yet, anyway. They will have one ready for
I'm sure.
actual release.
No, can't be bothered. No new wallpaper. It's a critical part.
I mean, release is coming. This is October already, so...
You think I'm joking, but
guys.
that was legitimately brought up in the OMG, my Ubuntu article. I'm okay.
Yes, it was actually.
I never scroll to the comments.
In the article page,
No,
or
it was
did I say
actually in the
comments?
article on the bottom.
I just kind of stopped reading at the AD integration. It's like, all right, cool.
Well, let's talk about Linux Mint.
Yeah, so
Yes.
Linux Mint 20.1 Ulissa is planned to arrive just before Christmas. And the big deal here is now the Chromium web browser will now be packaged through the official Mint repositories. And, as a lot of you know out there, Clem, the head developer of Linux Mint, had removed the ability to install snaps, which removed the ability to install Chromium through the snaps because they were only available. It was only available through the snaps unless you wanted to go through quite a bit of work to install the Debian package. So now Chromium, you can get it, which will be really, really awesome. And so in a 20.1 also includes the web app manager called ICE, which can turn a website into a standalone desktop application. And that's been available for a while as a Debian package. And Pedro was remembering that it was the selling point for Peppermint OS back in 2015.
Since 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was funny because in the article that I originally read, it had said this was a new app for, but it's new to Linux Mint, but it wasn't a new app.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the big thing with Peppermint is, look at all these applications that we include. No, those are just web app windows. The same ones that you can create in Chrome. If you create a shortcut to a specific bookmark, you can right click and open in its own window and even set desktop and menu shortcuts for it. This allows you to do that, be it in Firefox. Basically, whatever browser you have installed, you can use that as a base to run a specific site in its own self-contained window. A DIY Electron.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that was what I wasn't happy about. You can use Firefox, so you don't have to Electron wrap all the things with Chrome or Chromium.
I don't know. Every time I hear all the hubbub about Chromium and a snap and not a snap, and it's Simpsons with the two monkeys fighting with a knife. And I'm like, how do I install Chromium on Debian? Apt-get install Chromium.
Yes.
Oh, look. All right, I'm done. But hey, one thing there was a regression in Ubuntu 2004 with USB printer support. That was a thing that happened. And yeah, it's in the article page where you should start reading it. It boiled down to LPP USB XD, and it's the implementation of the IPP over USB standard. They've sorted that regression. If you run into it, this should help sort that, but I bring that up because I know there's 3, possibly 7 people left on the planet that have a printer at home.
Yes.
That's not in a closet with a dried out ink cartridge and or toner.
Yes.
Yes.
That's where most of
dried
them are
out
right
ink
now.
cartridge. Yes.
So a tool I use each and every time we stream is xdotool. I call it xdoot just because I like, it sounds better when you call it the xdoot.
Xdoot.
It would have been easier to type that out if you're trying to call it to do something on the spot. Xdoot
Also, you
would have
can
been
straight
so
up do
much
an app
easier.
search for xdoot and it'll find it.
Oh, that's pretty
I
funny.
like that they compensate for laptops that repeat or keyboards that repeat a little too
But
fast.
to my point, I use it to control the Stream Deck because I use it queries all the windows. And I'm like, all right, look for this text pattern. Okay, you find that text pattern, then I need you to input on, focus this application and feed this input into it, which is key combination, which, with OBS. And that's what I use it for. Apparently, that's too mainstream, man.
Mm-hmm. That is possibly what it was originally intended for, but no. Pooprietary decided, you know what? I'm just going to use xdotool as a tiling window solution. He had tried a lot of different...
I like that this guy's got real problems. I recently bought a 49-inch monitor with 5K resolution. It's like, oh...
That's not first world problems, that's like 1% problems. But basically, with that big a monitor and that much real estate, he was trying to find a way to make the most use of it. And he... he couldn't find any DE that satisfied his needs when it came to like putting windows side by side to occupy as much space of the monitor as possible and have the thing that is working on, say if it's working on something specific, it would take like double space in the middle and have 2 windows down the sides. Or if he was doing multiple things at once, just have like 4 windows side by side or 5 windows side by side, whatever the case may be. But none of the desktop environments and tiling window managers let him do that. You could do like the control meta right to push a window to the edge, or control meta left to push it to the other edge. That kind of key combinations. He just wasn't getting along with it. So he wrote a couple of xdotool scripts, assigned the keyboard shortcuts that he did want to use with him, and boom. There we go. It's
very anticlimactic because I get down to the bottom and I'm like,
yeah, what that picture is.
Whoops.
Yeah.
But hey, thanks for reading. Pedro, what do you think about this? Because every time you go on about, Katie is so unstable and I hate it and I can't stand it. But I'm like, why don't you leave, Katie? Like, then you turn into Bilbo. I'm like,
because it has a lot of functionality already built in. Like this functionality that he's after is actually built into KDE. You can set it. You can set windows wherever you want on screen with just key combos.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things. One of the xdotool scripts that I had a while back, while I was using Mate or any time before that, was the ability to switch windows from one monitor to the other while retaining the exact same size and being in the same relative coordinates from one monitor to the other. KDE does that out of the box. So.
What if I just put my windows where I wanted them and never cut my computer off?
Well,
hi Jordan, how you doing? I mean, you can do that.
It's 2020, Pedro. Hibernation exists.
It's only your electricity bill, right?
What, with hibernation?
Oh, hibernation. Okay.
What did you think I said?
I didn't.
You're like a ninja when it comes to paying attention. You're like, what?
You started talking, so I immediately checked out and started looking at Discord.
Is Pedro done? I just hear a buzzing noise sometimes. All right. That's the thing. That's pretty neat. And I like weird stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of making things do something that maybe they weren't necessarily intended to. So, good on that. New Pipe. What is it?
Well, New Pipe is an Android
Is it Pipewire, but newer?
No.
No.
This one is very much Android focused, and what it does, it's a unified player. Basically, if you want to play local videos, if you want to play YouTube videos, if you want to play videos from a bunch of other video streaming websites, you can. And one of the big selling points that it had before then was the ability to have playlists, and the ability to say carry those playlists from one type of player, like the full screen player, or just a regular player like you're seeing on screen, or even the little floating player, like if you pay for YouTube Red or you use YouTube Advanced like everyone else. But it's they have a new version out because the code base previously, each of those individual players had its own code base, and they had to create and replicate the playlist for each individual one. And it sometimes it would just, you have this playlist? Okay, so it would start you from the start of the playlist rather than from where you were watching. So that was kind of a big no-no. And I could see that. It's like you're 5 videos in, like 20-minute videos in, and all of a sudden your playlist goes back to the beginning. No, that's not, no.
So where do I get a copy of this, man? You gotta just head over to the Play Store and pick it up?
Not yet.
What do I gotta do? Do I gotta hack like for Linux to get it?
Well, I was notified through F-Droid, so a couple days ago.
F-Droid, or you could sideload the APK yourself if
directly
you know
from the GitHub release page.
Yes,
that's kind of interesting. I have the one question. Maybe you covered it. Does this block ads? Because that's the only thing I want.
Yes,
it doesn't even
blocks
load them.
ads. Doesn't even load them. And I was also very impressed that it has it searches PeerTube as well as SoundCloud. Although be it beta, it does do those searches pretty well. And that's really cool to have a player that searches all the different Libra video sites and audio sites.
Full disclaimer: I give my pound of flesh directly to YouTube because. Here's the thing, even with like YouTube Advanced, which this I think is if you're going for that, if you're a privacy hobbyist, like I don't want anything to, which is great. That's great, man. I don't judge anybody's hobbies. But just like YouTube Advanced, Googs can flip one little bite and it's all gone.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I don't invest too heavily in that, which I love seeing stuff like this. I just don't get too attached to it. And it's not like I'm not already giving Google money, so.
Yeah, they have to constantly update their Google API.
Yes.
And
YouTube API.
In all fairness, Google will definitely break their own product sometimes too. So
yeah, that's true. It is nice you can download with this app, which is nice, without having to use another website or plugins, which is really cool.
Really shady websites like Android is off to do. Yes.
I will say if you need to download a YouTube video, if you're doing it on mobile, you got other problems. 4K video downloader for the average person at home. There's a Linux client. Why do I know about it? Because that's to download my own videos when I need it. Because as a YouTube creator, we can download the 30 FPS version, which is a lower quality than what is available. So yeah, got to take care of that. Hey, let's talk about this. Darlin. What's darlin, Pedro? Is that just a word to you?
Are you calling me darling?
Has Nori ever called you darlin?
Darlin?
When she's being sarcastic.
I was about to say outside of just being patronizing.
Yeah, no, sarcastic Nori calls me darling all the time.
Walks over there and she takes away your safety scissors. Just like, go back in the room. What it is, darling, is a translation English. Jeez. Layer that lets you run, get this, macOS software on Linux. It's fast.
Yay!
It's free. It's compatible. And it has a check mark next to easy to use. So you know it's going to be an adventure, kids. More importantly, it is native. They say we aim to fully integrate apps running under Darling into the Linux desktop experience by making them look, feel, and behave just like native Linux apps. Does it support GUI apps, Finn? I know you're asking me that. Almost.
Almost
Stick
there.
with me.
Solid no on that one.
Yeah, almost sounds better than no. Not yet. There's basic experimental support for running and the emphasis, simple graphical applications. But yeah, that's going to take some work, man. Does the name Darling mean anything, Pedro?
Yes.
It is, yeah, it is a combination of Darwin and Linux, which shouldn't that have been Darlinks?
Darlings?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That sounds like a Pokemon Shagda Transformer.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was that posted it on Discord, but Jordan was saying, oh, is that still being actively supported? And that's stuck out in my mind, so I went to their GitHub repo. It's like, oh, okay. Commit was like 20 days ago. Very good. That's very promising.
Yeah, I knew this project was around for a while, but it's nice to see, getting commits. And it, it is cool. It is actually trying to be what Windows is to Wine on Linux. It's trying to be that for Mac OS, which is really cool. We need something like that. Very badly, actually. And when we have GUI app support, that'll be even better.
I mean, now is the time to be working on it because there's going to be a lot of breakage, whether or not Apple decides to move ahead with the move to ARM now that NVIDIA owns them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, catering to those poor, lost, money-filled Mac OS users, probably not a terrible idea.
You do not understand how strong the reality distortion field is, Pedro. Moving to ARM and losing all of my existing software and plugins is for my own good.
Oh, yeah.
I will break free of these x86 chains.
Good luck with that.
Shut up, you're hating. This is kind of neat. I definitely look at something like this through the lens of like the AAX plugins and a lot of audio stuff that's sitting over on Mac that's going to go and die. Be able to bring a lot of that stuff over to Linux, maybe eventually, who knows, but I thought I'd give everyone a little heads up that it does exist. But speaking of audio, real quick, there's a deal on the internet for a copy of Harrison Mixbus. This is like the closed source evil Pooprietary version of Outdoor. Yeah. Pooprietary. Lowest price ever that you can pick it up $19. No referral link. Go Google it or it'll be in the show notes. It's normally $89 wet stinky caches. And you're like, hey man, that looks kind of familiar. That's because it's from the creator of Outdoor. He's done most of the code for it. And it's pretty decent. I mean, if you're looking for, I'm just going to say if you plan on doing any work in the digital audio and you want a full featured version, the whole point of Mixbus is to give the digital more of an analog feel. Like you're probably familiar with like the Mixbus 32C consoles and stuff like that from years ago. Well, this aims to emulate it. Comes with a gang of plugins. Look at all those buttons, Jill.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, we had some Harrison equipment at the radio station years ago at the college that I worked at.
So you can get your antique vintage on, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
On your touch screen.
I don't think it's available. Well, no. Just don't touch monitors, kids. I don't care, man. Like, I will slap your hand like you were a child, and I do not care how old you are, but this has taken place multiple times in my house when somebody starts like,
oh, it's there.
Yeah.
And they will look at you like a surprised child, and like, yes, act like a surprised child. They'll treat you like one. Do not touch monitors. So,
oh boy,
that's the thing. Get it if you want it. It's normally like $90. I already had a copy. I already paid for my copy of Outdoor on top of that.
I suppose we should say that we are not being sponsored by
literally the
Harrison
first thing
consoles.
I said when I started this. Pedro, you were batting 1,000 tonight, baby.
I'm half asleep. All right.
That's two of us.
I'm glad Nori took the safety scissors from you. It's for your own good.
Oh.
She left the soldering iron, though.
Yeah, she can dream too. I mean, Beautiful people, if you like what we do and you want to become part of it and kind of join our little team, the easiest way to support us is to head over to patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. That's where we hang out. We got a bunch of cool rewards. We got extra shows, access to the Discord, and come party with us and say hello. We have 108 beautiful party patrons. We have some people we need to thank this week. We got
Isn't
a new
Vigilant Viking is one of them.
Yeah.
Vigilant Viking is a new patron. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And for some reason, Ven took his name out in the notes. Don't know why.
Because I had to add him to the credits as a new advisor.
Oh,
Jill.
it was a cut instead of a copy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why. Okay, that's funny. And yeah, I'd like to thank also M Fox Dog for gifting me the game Who's Your Daddy on Steam. I'm looking forward to playing it. I haven't yet, but looking forward to playing that. It looks
You get another copy and you and Steve can play it.
Yes, we can actually. That would
And you can swap daddies.
Yes.
Daddy swapping is allowed.
Aww.
That's the thing. Thanks. Get your name and credits and all that. We want to thank everybody who currently support us and continue to do so. Despite our best efforts to try to derail the train, it keeps on going down the tracks. That's pretty interesting. Come on, just a little more attention, Pedro. You can do it. Don't start licking the microphone just yet.
Oh.
See, I tried to avoid the sound effects.
Nori, you owe me one. You should have been in with arm's reach of that one. That should have been a chipped tooth. That's all I'm saying.
I think the arm would have just given way long before I chipped my tooth.
Listen, I'm seeing a well policed kick on the other side of that microphone.
Oh, so I'm not dating Nori. I'm dating Chuck Nori. Okay.
Listen, I just need Nori to extend her leg. I can apply the vertical force needed to
Oh boy.
3.14 slice of pie time, and we got to talk about everyone's favorite company. Oh man,
Yay.
one company Linux can't get enough of. NVIDIA, baby. You know it, man. Everybody who runs Linux for like 2 weeks and gets on the bandwagon of like, NVIDIA's bad, right? Internet. Okay, whatever. They get a new Jetson out, the Nano 2 gig. 2 gigajoules. This developer kit. What's the big deal? You're like, yeah, Ben, it's been around for a long time. True. Well, this version's half off. Well, you got half the RAM. But hey, man, if you've been looking to get started with your NVIDIA-based Jetson Nano, because what's regular price like $100, man. I'm guessing these are going to be better for training our fair and just robotic overlords. I will use this in the court as Exhibit A after the singularity. But what do you get? You get the 2 gig, which is, 64-bit quad-core ARM A57. You got a processor, 1.43 gigajoules, 128 core NVIDIA Maxwell, so 2 gigs of DDR RAM on that. Couple of concessions you got to make. It has slightly fewer USB 3 holes, and I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. Everything's going to it. It now has USB-C charging. Yeah. So, yeah, I looked at that and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe it. I'm such an NVIDIA fanboy. I went right out and I ordered Raspberry Pi. So.
You also ordered the cheapest Raspberry Pi.
Oh.
No, incorrect. That would be the non-wireless.
Yeah, the non-wireless is just the $5.
It's the cheaper. Well, this is cool because it hits that sweet spot of close to the Raspberry Pi. It comes in at $59, which is actually lower than the Raspberry Pi 4 8 gig version, which is set price at $75, and even lower than the Raspberry Pi 4 gig version at $59.99. So it's 99 cents lower. But yeah, I think this is a really good for them.
Somebody will use that in an argument, I guarantee you.
Oh yeah. Then again, the 4 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 4 is very nice.
Yes.
It probably won't do quite as much, graphically speaking, as the Nano on accounts of not Pascal.
Maxwell,
of course, yes. But yeah, it's
well,
it's
I
very
mean, you
nice.
could look at it like this. I mean, it doesn't have like compute unit. It's like dedicated. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
again, this is not.
I want the RTX Nano is what I'm saying. Okay.
All I'm saying is if you're buying a Jetset Nano, Mini Nano, Micro Nano, Super Nano, don't buy it for desktop replacement. That is not what this thing is designed
Yeah.
for. Buy a Raspberry Pi Zero for that.
Yeah,
You know,
so this,
hey,
this
you're
is
going to
definitely
get that video from me. I gotta make my money back from buying the camera stuff. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, it was obvious that NVIDIA was aiming at the Raspberry Pi market with this pricing. So, and then they even call it the education for education projects.
They want to get it in
So,
schools, which I think is good
Yeah,
because
awesome.
if you're going to be getting
For
into the
AI
workforce,
and-
it doesn't matter what soulless corporation that you shill for. You're going to be dealing with your compute. It's going to be CUDA, NVIDIA One. So, yeah, that's a cheap way
Yeah.
to get learned about it. Now, e-ink has been
Yes.
promising us this future that is just 10 more years away that we'll have some, but that was 20 years ago. But we do have e-ink
Aw.
that kind of works now, though, right?
Yeah, we do. This is beautiful. This is a Raspberry Pi e-ink dashboard written in Python 3.7. So it's easy to edit the configuration files. And what's really unique about this one is that it makes beautiful use of the white, red, and black colors offered by the Tricolor WaveShare 2.7-inch e-ink display hat available for the Raspberry Pi. It's beautiful because it's has the red and black lettering on the white background, and it's so nice to just have white as a color on a screen. Definitely. And this dashboard displays date info, weather info, internet speed, and even COVID-19 info in a very visually appealing way. And I actually have already purchased this e-ink. Yeah, I'm tired too. I've already purchased this WaveShare e-ink display. I bought it yesterday for my Raspberry Pi so I could play with this project because it's really, really beautifully done. And I'm looking forward to modifying it and maybe adding some new monitors to it, like CPU usage and whatnot. So
Yeah.
Pedro, help me
Actually
out.
having that.
Help me out, Pedro. I'm looking at this, and we're looking at an image which looks, there's a monitor stand behind it. There's some dice. There's a little Anakin back there. Something about this display with the a full-size Raspberry, the proportions look off. You're like, is that a really small Raspberry Pi or a really big display?
No,
Yeah.
that's what looks to
like
be a
a-
Raspberry Pi B series, be it a 4 or a 3. They're all about that size.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that hat is very much designed to fit squarely on top of the typical Raspberry Pi design, and the screw holes line up, so you always have a place to mount it.
It's even got
Yes.
button keys on the left side to make them do things
Yes.
like keys do.
Oh. Well, I love also the little icons. I mean, it's got the sun icon and the little COVID.
That's all it takes to sell
Nastiness.
Jill's like, oh, ink, that's nice. Oh, icons.
Shiny.
I just think they're so beautiful. It's beautifully laid out in a really nice font. They chose a nice font for that. So
Pretty decent.
Having that on, say, that thing you were talking about before the show, Ven, to have a display for your
See, I have an opposite problem.
your
I don't
rack
remember
mount?
what I was talking about before the show.
touch displays for your rack mounts. E-ink
Yeah.
uses a lot less power. They refresh very slowly. You probably just need to add a capacitive touch
See,
layer on top of it.
I like how you just casually sprinkle the like times 1,000 difficulty multiplier at the end of the sentence. Like, oh yeah, all you need to do.
They probably sell touch things, e-ink displays.
E-ink gets stuff done. Beautiful people. We got to get out of here. We're running over time. But if you want to get in touch with us, Pedro, contact. How do you do it?
Contact as linuxgamecast.com. There's a contact button which gives you a contact form. How does that work? Make sure you pick LWDW as the show that you want to send your feedback to. Otherwise, we may be inclined to misinterpret it as some hate mail
Got some of that this week.
show. Yeah.
Oh man,
Y'all had no feedback.
stay tuned Saturday because it's been a while since we've had a Kickstarter project that wants to like have a retroactive NDA for sending us this information. They're like, hey, we're just going to come out and send you the information. By the way, that's under NDA that you clearly didn't sign. And, oh, yeah, it's for Kickstarter. It's not. Oh, and it's Windows only. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
Saturday. Stay tuned for that. It's a wall of shame candidate, but beautiful people. We got to bounce out of here. We're going to roll some credits and thank those people who make the show possible.
Oh, we love all our patrons. And our newest patron, Vigilant Viking. Thank you so much.
Oh, the wall of shame is time-honored tradition.
Yes.
We just haven't had to use it in 5 or 6 years.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yay! Vigilant Viking is an advisor. It's amazing. Woohoo! Woohoo! And our executive producers, we love you all.
If you did a little bit of the methamphetamines, you could be a hypervisor. I'm sorry, I get an internet point for that.
Yes, you do. Wow, LWW 243. 243, not 342. 243.
I'm glad I'm not OCD.
Yeah, it is challenging at times.